There are no accidents in the grand design of life. If these words have found their way into your world today, it is because they were meant for you. Yes, you, not by chance, not by coincidence, but by a higher calling that echoes deep within your soul. Something inside you is stirring, you feel it, a whisper that has grown louder, a tug on your heart that says, there's more for you. Perhaps you've been doubting yourself lately. Maybe you've stood at the crossroads of fear and faith, not knowing which road to take. Perhaps the world has tried to silence your dreams, telling you that you're too late, too lost, or not good enough. But let me say this to you with all the conviction of my soul: you were never forgotten. You were being prepared. You see, life doesn't give us what we want. It gives us what we believe we deserve. And today this message arrives like a mirror held up to your spirit, asking you not to see where you failed, but to remember who you truly are. You are not broken, you are not behind, you are becoming. The struggle you face now is not a punishment, it is a preparation for greatness. The pain you feel is not permanent, it is the pressure before the breakthrough. You have everything within you to rise, to reclaim your fire, and to shape the future you were born to create. You did not stumble upon these words. You were meant to find this speech, because it is time. The call within you is your life's assignment. There comes a time in every man's life when he must stop running from his pain, from his past, from the parts of himself he does not yet understand, and begin to listen to the voice within, to the subtle but persistent call that whispers in the silence, you were made for more. That voice is not imagination, it is not delusion, it is your life's assignment calling to you. Somewhere deep within you is a dream that won't die. You've tried to silence it with logic. You've tried to bury it under responsibilities and distractions. You've tried to convince yourself that you're fine living in the comfort zone. But that dream is still there, knocking, still burning, still calling. That call is not random. It is sacred. It is your life's divine instruction. It is the blueprint written on the walls of your soul before you ever entered this world. And the moment you stop fighting it, the moment you surrender to it with faith, is the moment life begins to unfold in ways you've never imagined. You were born with a purpose. You were not born to simply exist, pay bills, and die. You were born with a purpose. That purpose may not be wrapped in titles, applause, or gold medals, but it is infinitely more valuable. It is the reason you feel restless when you ignore your potential. It is why your heart aches when you see others living boldly while you hesitate in the shadows. It is why no matter how far you drift, there's always a pull to return to your true path. There is something only you can do, a problem only you can solve, a message only you can deliver. You are not here by accident. You are not here by luck. You are here because the world needs what you carry, but that calling will not shout. It does not scream above the noise. It waits patiently until you are still enough to hear it and brave enough to follow it. Most ignore the call, let's tell the truth. Most people never answer the call within. They bury it, they deny it, they drown it in doubt, routine, or the opinions of others. They trade their destiny for a paycheck, their passion for security, their greatness for comfort. They tell themselves stories like, I'm too old now, I missed my chance, no one will believe in me, I don't have what it takes. And with every lie they tell themselves, the fire within burns lower, until one day it becomes nothing but ash, but not you, not anymore. You're here because something in you refuses to die. Because you can still hear the call, and because you're beginning to believe that maybe, just maybe, you were meant for this. Every calling comes with resistance, understand this. The moment you decide to answer your calling, resistance will show up. Fear will try to paralyze you. Circumstances will rise against you. People close to you may not understand. That's not a sign to quit. That's a sign that you're on the right path. Every great soul who answered the call within was tested. They were doubted, mocked, rejected, but they persisted, and because they did, the world remembers them, not for what they had, but for what they dared to become. So when the challenges come, and they will do not ask, "Why me?" Ask instead, "What is this trying to make of me?" Because your calling doesn't just require your dream, it demands your transformation. You already have what you need. There's a lie many people believe, that they must wait until they feel ready, that they need more money, more knowledge, more confidence, more clarity. But here's the truth. You are already equipped. You have enough strength, enough talent, enough wisdom, enough heart. The seed of your success was planted inside you the moment your assignment was given. You may not see the entire path, but you have what you need to take the first step. And once you do, Providence will rise to meet you. Doors will open, people will appear, resources will flow, but none of it happens until you move. The world needs what you carry. You may not believe it yet, but someone somewhere is waiting for you to rise. Your voice, your story, your courage, your idea, your art, your leadership, your compassion, your truth. There's a heart that will heal when they hear your journey, a soul that will awaken because of your breakthrough, a chain that will be broken because you chose to show up and do the work. When you shrink, you rob the world. When you dim your light, you leave someone in darkness. When you silence your calling, you delay someone else's destiny. So understand, this is not just about you. Your calling is connected to lives you haven't even met yet. You must decide now. The choice is yours. Will you keep living on the surface of your life, where it's safe, predictable, and unfulfilling, or will you go deeper? Will you lean into the unknown? Will you trust the voice within even when the world outside is silent? No one can choose it for you. No one can walk it for you. No one can awaken what you keep asleep. But if you choose to answer the call, if you decide today that enough is enough and you were born to live fully, love boldly, and lead fearlessly, then everything will begin to change, because destiny does not respond to wishing. It responds to decision. Faith is the fire that burns down fear. There is a force in this world that can build dreams out of ashes and carve triumph from the jaws of tragedy. That force is not luck. It is not talent. It is not chance. It is faith. Faith, real, unwavering, unshakable faith, is the greatest firepower a human being can possess. When fear stands tall like a mountain, when every door seems locked, when the voices of doubt scream the loudest, it is faith that refuses to back down. It is faith that whispers, "Keep going." You may not see the entire road ahead. You may not understand how the pieces will come together, but if you can believe deeply, defiantly, and consistently, then what once felt impossible becomes inevitable. Fear cannot stand in the presence of faith. Fear may knock at your door, but it is faith that answers, and fear cannot stay where faith lives. Fear is the default. Faith is the decision. We were not born afraid. We were conditioned to fear by failure, by disappointment, by a world that often rewards conformity more than courage. But let me tell you something. Fear is a liar. It shows up in the disguise of protection, but it is really the jailer of your potential. Fear says, "What if you fail?" Faith says, "What if this is the breakthrough you've been waiting for?" Fear says, "You're not ready." Faith says, "You were made for this." Fear says, "You don't have what it takes." Faith says, "You already do. Now rise." Faith is not the absence of fear. It is the mastery of it. It is choosing to move forward even when your hands tremble and your knees shake, because faith is not a feeling. It is a decision. And once you decide, mountains move, doors open, and the universe conspires to reward your boldness. Faith is the bridge between the vision and the reality. Every achievement, every breakthrough, every dream that became flesh and blood began as an idea, an invisible seed planted in the soil of a determined mind. And it was faith that watered it. Thomas Edison had no guarantee that the light bulb would work, but he had faith in the process. Martin Luther King Jr. had no promise that his dream would be accepted, but he had faith in justice. Helen Keller had no way to hear or see, but she had faith that her voice could still change the world. You are no different. The vision that lives inside you was not placed there to torment you. It was given to inspire you, to elevate you, to guide you. But vision without faith is like wings without wind. The dream dies grounded. Faith is the bridge between what is unseen and what can be touched, between the invisible and the inevitable. Faith must be practiced daily just as muscles grow through resistance. Faith must be exercised through adversity. It's easy to believe when everything is going right, but real faith is proven in the fire. Will you still believe when the results don't show up right away? Will you still persist when the world tells you to quit? Will you still speak life over your vision when everything around you looks like death? If your answer is yes, if you can stay anchored in belief even when storms rage, then your faith becomes an unstoppable force. But it must be practiced. Every day, in thought, in speech, in action, feed your faith with truth. Guard it against negativity, surround it with bold minds, nurture it with gratitude, strengthen it with discipline, and when fear tries to rise again, as it always will, burn it down with the fire you've built inside. Faith turns waiting into preparation sometimes. The hardest thing to do is to wait. You have the dream, you've done the work, you've prayed, planned, prepared, but the results haven't come. That's when most people give up. But people of faith, they don't wait passively. They wait actively. They understand that delay is not denial, that sometimes the universe is rearranging things on their behalf, that sometimes the version of you who started the journey is not yet strong enough to handle what's coming. So the waiting is making you worthy. Faith turns the waiting room into the training ground. It turns silence into strategy. It turns the unseen into a source of unshakable inner strength. Don't curse the process. Trust it. Don't rush the results. Align with them. They are coming. Faith makes you dangerous to mediocrity. Let the world call you crazy. Let them call you delusional. Let them laugh, because when you have faith, real faith, you become dangerous to every lie that mediocrity has sold to this world. Faith says, I'm not here to survive, I'm here to thrive. Faith says, I will not settle, I will not shrink, and I will not silence my purpose to make others comfortable. Faith says, I was born to rise, born to lead, and born to finish what I started. People with faith are unstoppable. They don't wait for guarantees, they create them. They don't ask for permission. They act on conviction. They don't need applause to keep going. They've already decided to win within. Faith makes you resilient. Faith makes you resourceful. Faith makes you a force of nature in a world full of hesitation. Faith is the most powerful investment you can make. When you invest in your education, your skills, your network, you are wise. But when you invest in your faith, you are invincible. Faith is what keeps the light on in the darkest night. It's what whispers just one more step when your body wants to collapse. It's what holds your hand when you walk through failure. It's what fuels your mind when no one believes in your dream but you. And eventually, faith becomes sight. What once lived only in your imagination becomes your reality, because you had the courage to believe before you saw. You become what you tolerate. There is a hard truth, one that most people spend their lives avoiding, denying, or blaming others for. But you are ready for the truth, because the truth is the first spark of transformation. And the truth is this: You do not get what you deserve in life. You get what you are willing to tolerate. Every result in your life, your health, your relationships, your finances, your level of peace, your progress, your pain, can be traced back to what you've allowed, what you've accepted, what you've chosen to live with rather than rise above. This is not condemnation. It is liberation. Because the moment you realize that you are the gatekeeper of your standards, you also realize you hold the key to a different future. You are not powerless. You are responsible, and responsibility is the first step to reclaiming your power. Your standards shape your identity. We all have standards, some high, some low, some that serve our growth, and some that sabotage it. And whether you've defined them or not, they are defining you, quietly, consistently, and without fail. What you tolerate in your day-to-day life becomes the blueprint of your destiny. If you tolerate excuses, you will build a life of regret. If you tolerate negative self-talk, you will become a prisoner of your own mind. If you tolerate toxic relationships, you will forget what it feels like to be free. If you tolerate mediocrity, you will never taste the glory of your potential. But if you raise your standards, if you decide that enough is enough, if you say, I will no longer accept less than I was created for, then life begins to rise to meet your courage. You don't get your highest vision by living at your lowest standard. Tolerance is a silent thief. Most people don't collapse in a single moment. No, collapse happens slowly, quietly, one compromise at a time. You tolerate sleeping in instead of keeping your promise to yourself. You tolerate scrolling instead of studying. You tolerate staying silent when your soul begs you to speak. You tolerate staying in places where your growth is suffocated. And soon you look in the mirror and don't recognize who you've become, not because you chose destruction, but because you chose comfort, you chose safety, you chose not to fight back. The life you settle for is the life that eventually breaks you. It doesn't scream at you. It whispers until your dreams are buried beneath layers of maybe tomorrow. This is just how I am, and it's not that bad. But here's what I want you to understand. Not that bad is the enemy of greatness. The moment you raise your standards, everything changes. All transformation begins the moment you say, no more. No more waiting, no more wishing, no more watering down my worth, no more sleeping on my own potential. This is the power of intolerance, not toward others, but toward your own limitations. When you raise your standard, you raise your frequency. You stop attracting what drains you and start aligning with what strengthens you. People shift, opportunities shift, life shifts, not because the world changed, but because you did. When you raise your standard, you don't need motivation. You are moved by conviction. You don't need to force discipline. It becomes who you are. You don't beg for approval. You walk in self-respect. You become someone different, someone worthy of the life you've dreamed of. Look around. Your life is a mirror if you want to know what you've been tolerating. Look around. Look at your habits. Look at your energy. Look at your income. Look at your surroundings. Look at your relationships. Everything you see is feedback. It is not punishment. It is a mirror. Do you see excellence or just effort? Do you see passion or survival? Do you see growth or stagnation? Do you see freedom or just familiarity? The mirror is honest. The mirror doesn't lie. The mirror reflects what you've allowed. But the beautiful part is this. You can change the reflection today, right now, not by wishing it were different, but by becoming someone who demands more from themselves. Raise your standards, and the mirror will show you a new reality. People treat you how you train them. The world will treat you how you train it too. If you tolerate disrespect, you will be disrespected. If you tolerate being overlooked, you will remain invisible. If you tolerate silence when your soul wants to speak, your voice will fade into a whisper. But if you teach the world, through your words, through your actions, through your energy, that you will no longer play small, no longer settle, no longer dim your light, then you begin to attract what reflects your new truth. Respect opportunity, elevation, abundance, but remember, no one will respect your value until you do. Change begins with a decision. There is a moment in every person's life where they draw a line in the sand and say, "This is where the old version of me ends. This is the day I stop tolerating the excuses, the doubt, the distractions. This is the moment I step into the identity of the person I know I can be." That decision is not made with fireworks. It's made in silence, in the privacy of your own mind. But that decision changes everything. You don't have to know how the journey will unfold. You only have to decide that where you are is no longer acceptable. And when you do, when you truly raise your standard, the world has no choice but to rise with you. Pain is the price tag of progress. If you are seeking a life of greatness, prepare yourself, not for applause, not for comfort, not for ease. Prepare yourself for pain, because pain is not the enemy. It is the currency of change. It is the fire that forges resilience, the hammer that sculpts strength, the test that separates those who merely wish from those who will. No man or woman has ever risen to greatness without first being brought to their knees. Not one. The path to progress is paved with challenge, with pressure, with suffering. But those who understand its purpose don't run from it. They rise through it. You say you want to grow, then understand this truth. Pain is the price tag of progress. And if you're not willing to pay, you will never own the life you're dreaming of. There is no elevation without agitation, just as the seed must break to sprout, just as the caterpillar must dissolve to fly, just as gold must endure fire to shine. You must pass through discomfort to evolve. There is no shortcut. There is no comfort zone big enough to hold your destiny. Growth requires friction. Transformation demands sacrifice. You cannot stretch into your potential while clinging to your convenience. The gym that grows your muscles must first tear the fibers apart. The truth that liberates your soul must first pierce your pride. The decisions that shape your future must often be made in pain, not pleasure. Most people want the outcome, but not the process. They want the victory, but not the valley. They want the crown, but not the cross. But life doesn't reward desire, it rewards endurance, the willingness to feel the pain of discipline over the regret of comfort. Pain is proof you're in motion, you are not stuck. You're stretching, you are not breaking, you're being built. You are not suffering for nothing. You are suffering for something. If you're hurting, don't curse it. Lean in, because that pain you're feeling, that frustration, that rejection, that setback, it means you are alive in the fight. It means you care deeply enough to be cut. It means you're not numb. It means you are engaged in the transformation process. And here's what most people don't understand. Pain is directional. It shows up not to stop you, but to shape you. To show you what needs strengthening, what needs confronting, what needs healing. Pain is your personal trainer. It shows up to make you stronger. The only question is, will you use it or will you run from it? The most valuable lessons are taught in the dark. You don't find your power in the easy seasons. You don't uncover your purpose when everything is smooth. You find who you are when life strips away your distractions. When comfort is gone and only character remains, in the dark you learn how to keep going when there's no applause. In the dark you learn to fight with faith, not feelings. In the dark you discover that what's inside you is greater than what's around you. Every master was once a mess. Every giant once stood small. Every story of greatness includes a chapter of pain. But those who use their pain, those who study it, grow from it, lean into it, those are the ones who become unshakable. Pain is temporary, but quitting makes it permanent. It doesn't last forever. The burning in your soul, the ache in your heart, the sting of failure, it's all temporary. But if you quit, if you walk away because it hurts too much, if you abandon the mission because you're tired or afraid, that becomes permanent, because here's the truth, you will suffer either way. You will suffer the pain of pushing forward, or the pain of staying stuck, the pain of stretching, or the pain of shrinking, the pain of evolution, or the pain of regret. Choose your pain wisely. One makes you, the other breaks you. The fire reveals the fighter. Pain doesn't just build you, it reveals you. It reveals your limits and invites you to break them. It reveals your excuses and dares you to crush them. It reveals your fears and challenges you to face them. You don't know your strength until it's tested. You don't know your voice until it's silenced. You don't know your worth until the world overlooks you and you decide to rise anyway. Let the pain purify you. Let it strip away what you no longer need: approval, comfort, control, and forge something deeper: conviction. Power, purpose. Pain brings you to the edge and then dares you to fly. Progress has a price, and you must pay it in full. You cannot bargain with greatness. You cannot negotiate with transformation. You either pay the full price or you stay in the same place. Pain is not punishment, it's the payment, the investment you make in a version of you that doesn't exist yet. And every drop of sweat, every tear, every sleepless night, every "I'll keep going anyway," is building that person. The world may not see it yet. They may not understand what you're going through, but you are being forged, refined, strengthened, elevated. Every step forward is a receipt, and eventually the reward will come, not just in results, but in the person you become. You must act before you are ready. If you are waiting to feel ready, you will wait forever. Read that again. You must act before you are ready, because readiness is not a feeling, it is a decision. It does not arrive at your doorstep with certainty and comfort in hand. It must be forged through action. It must be earned through faith. Those who accomplish great things in life, who rise above doubt, circumstance, and fear, do not wait for permission. They do not wait until the plan is perfect. They do not wait until the timing is ideal. They move, and in their movement, they create the readiness they once thought they needed to begin. The illusion of "I'm not ready." Let's expose the lie. I'm not ready. It sounds wise. It sounds cautious. It even sounds responsible. But it is fear wearing a mask. It is doubt dressed up in logic. It is the voice of your smaller self convincing you to delay your destiny one more day. And yet, how many more days are you willing to give away? How many more dreams will you bury under the false safety of someday? How many more chances will you walk past because you were still preparing, still perfecting, still planning? You don't need more time. You need more trust in yourself, in your mission, in the power of momentum. Waiting is the enemy of becoming. Every moment you wait for certainty, life passes you by in silence. Clarity comes from movement, not meditation. You want a clear path, take a step. It is in the doing, not the thinking, where vision becomes visible. The most powerful plans, the most aligned actions, the most divine directions, they reveal themselves only after you begin. Action is the unlock. Do you think the inventors of history were ready? The pioneers of change, the builders of empires, they had no blueprint, no security, no certainty, only a conviction. They moved because they had to, because their calling was louder than their fear, because they understood that progress is not found in perfection, it's born in courageous action. Even a wrong step is better than no step, because at least it moves you forward. At least it teaches. At least it reveals something. Inaction reveals nothing and transforms nothing. Perfection is the poison of progress. Perfection is a prison. It keeps your gifts locked away behind the bars of not yet. You tell yourself, "I'll speak when I'm more confident. I'll launch when I have it all figured out. I'll change when the time feels right." But days become weeks, and weeks become years, and still you're standing at the edge, waiting for the fear to leave. Let me tell you the truth, fear never leaves. You just stop giving it power, and that shift happens the moment you act. You will never be perfectly ready, but you are ready enough to take the first step. And that step is all that's required. You don't need to leap the whole staircase, just move your foot. Action builds confidence. You think you need confidence to take action, but it's the other way around. Action builds confidence. Every step you take chips away at fear. Every imperfect effort builds belief. Every push forward strengthens your trust in yourself. Confidence is not built in theory, it's built in the doing. The stumbling, the trying, the failing, the standing up again. You earn confidence by showing yourself that you can move forward even when your knees shake, even when your hands tremble, even when doubt is screaming in your ear. Every time you act despite fear, you send a message to your subconscious: I am not here to shrink. I am here to rise. Faith is acting without seeing. You don't need to see the whole path, just the next step. And that step is taken not with sight, but with faith. Faith in your calling, faith in your ability to grow, faith that if life brought you the vision, it will also provide the resources, but only once you commit. The law of life is clear. Resources follow commitment, not the other way around. You cannot wait for the doors to open before you knock. You cannot wait for the water to part before you step in. You move, and then miracles move with you. Faith without action is fantasy, but faith with action, that is the birthplace of greatness. The world doesn't wait for the ready. It moves for the bold. This world is not waiting for perfect people. It is not looking for flawless ideas or safe decisions. The world moves for those who are willing to move first. The greatest shifts in history, the most profound breakthroughs, the most unforgettable lives, all began in uncertainty. But someone decided to act. They decided to speak even if their voice shook. They decided to build even if no one believed. They decided to leap even if the net wasn't visible, and in doing so, they changed not just their world, but the world. Now it's your turn. You don't need more degrees, more followers, more money, more permission. You need a decision to rise, a decision to move, a decision to no longer wait for a feeling and to become the person who makes things happen. The only right time is now. There is no someday. There is only now. Now is the only moment you can influence, the only door you can open, the only heartbeat you are guaranteed. Everything you dream of, everything that haunts your imagination, is waiting on the other side of one action. Do it scared, do it messy, do it unclear, but do it, because the cost of waiting is far greater than the risk of trying. You must act before you are ready, because that is the moment you are made. Your future is demanding a stronger version of you. There comes a time in every life when the future knocks on the door, not with ease, not with comfort, but with a demand. It doesn't ask politely. It doesn't wait until you're ready. It stands in front of you like a mirror and says the version of you standing here is not enough for where I'm taking you. And in that moment you have a choice. You can ignore the call, shrink back into the familiar, and protect the current version of yourself. Or you can rise, stretch, sweat, suffer, and sacrifice to meet the person your destiny is asking you to become. Because make no mistake, your future is demanding a stronger version of you, one with deeper conviction, sharper focus, louder faith, unbreakable resilience, and it will not lower its standards to meet your comfort. You must raise your standard to meet your calling. Who you are today cannot carry what tomorrow requires if the life you envision feels overwhelming, if the goals you hold in your heart feel impossible. Good. It means your vision is honest. It means your soul is dreaming beyond your current identity. But hear this truth. You cannot take your future into your hands with the same habits, beliefs, and excuses that built your present. You must grow into the person who can hold it. That means letting go of old patterns that feel safe. That means breaking free from environments that no longer serve your growth. That means silencing the voice that says, I'm doing enough, when deep down you know you've only scratched the surface. Progress requires a funeral. The death of the old you, the one that settles, the one that hesitates, the one that blames, doubts, avoids. The future won't wait for that version, but it will unfold for the one who's willing to evolve. Pressure is a sign that you're being stretched into your future. Don't curse the weight you're feeling right now. That pressure, that exhaustion, that battle you're silently fighting, it's proof that you're on the edge of transformation. Life doesn't apply pressure to break you. It applies pressure to build you. Just like steel is forged in fire, you are being shaped in the heat of your trials. You are being stretched beyond the comfort of who you were, so you can hold the power of who you're meant to become. When life gets harder, it means the next level is near. When the challenge increases, it means your assignment is expanding. Pain, pressure, and resistance are divine invitations to rise. Excuses will expire when your purpose becomes bigger than your pain. The only thing standing between you and your next level is the story you keep telling yourself. I don't have time. I'm not ready. I'm too tired. I'm not sure. You don't lack time. You lack urgency. You don't lack knowledge. You lack commitment. You don't lack strength. You lack clarity on what matters most. And when your purpose becomes bigger than your excuses, everything changes. You stop quitting on yourself. You stop negotiating with your potential. You stop giving power to weakness, and you start choosing discipline over doubt. You will never feel fully ready to become the stronger version of you. You must choose it daily, relentlessly, and each time you choose growth over ease, you answer your future's demand. The stronger you is already inside, waiting to be unleashed. You don't need to become someone else. You need to awaken who you already are underneath the limitations you've accepted. Strength is not something you earn. It's something you reveal. It's already in your soul, in your blood, in your bones. It's been dormant, waiting for resistance to call it out. So let the struggle shape you. Let the opposition develop you. Let the discomfort discipline you. This is not punishment. It is preparation. You are not weak. You are untested. You are not lost. You are in training. You are not unworthy. You are unfinished. The stronger you isn't a fantasy. It's a decision to stop living at 40% of your capacity, a decision to burn the excuses, a decision to wake up, speak up, stand up, and move like you mean it. Your future has no place for half-hearted effort. Let this truth settle into your soul. Average effort cannot create an extraordinary future. If you want a future that honors your gifts, you must outwork, outlast, and outgrow the old version of yourself. This is not about grinding blindly. This is not about hustle for the sake of ego. This is about alignment. About living in such fierce integrity with your vision that quitting becomes harder than pushing through. You can no longer afford to show up halfway, half, invested half, present half, believing, because the future you're called to build doesn't belong to the half-hearted. It belongs to the wholehearted, to the ones who give their all even when no one is watching, to the ones who show up tired, wounded, unsure, but they show up anyway. That's the stronger version of you. And your future is counting on them. Greatness demands a warrior spirit. You are not here to merely survive. You are here to advance, to build, to impact, to transform, but that level of purpose will ask for your entire being. It will demand your courage, your discipline, your sacrifice. You can no longer allow distractions to dilute your destiny. You can no longer allow your past to define your pace. You can no longer let opinions decide your direction. Your future doesn't care who doubted you. It only asks, will you answer the call? And the answer is found not in your words, but in your daily decisions, how you rise, how you train, how you speak to yourself, how you lead, love, and live when no one's watching, because that's the person who creates the future, not the one who waits for conditions to be right, not the one who hopes life gets easier, but the one who becomes stronger no matter the storm. And now I invite you to lean in with your heart wide open, for what you are about to hear are not just lessons, but laws of transformation, unchangeable truths that, if applied with faith and persistence, will lead you to the destiny that has always been waiting for you. Let these keynotes speak directly to the part of you that refuses to settle. Let them awaken the sleeping giant within.